Okay, so picture this. You're driving your electric car. Maybe it's a Tesla, maybe it's a Chevy Bolt. Doesn't matter. You've had it for a few years. You've put some miles on it. And eventually, the battery just isn't holding the same charge it used to. Maybe you're not getting as much range, or it's just not as reliable for those weekend road trips. So, what happens to that battery? Most people would assume it goes straight to the junkyard, right? Like, well, that's it. It's toast. But here's the wild part. That battery, it's actually still got about 75 to 80% of its original juice left. That's a lot. It's like tossing out your phone because the battery only lasts till dinner instead of bedtime. And here's where things get really interesting. Instead of treating these retired car batteries like trash, there's this whole movement to give them a second life. I know it sounds a bit sci-fi, but stick with me. People are taking these old EV batteries and turning them into energy storage systems for homes and businesses. Basically, they're returning what would be waste into something super valuable, like turning old sneakers into a pair of comfy house slippers, or making a killer smoothie out of fruit that is a little too ripe for the lunchbox. Before I get too deep into this, quick thing. If you into these kinds of stories where tech meets real life and actually makes things better, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I promise, there's a lot more where this came from. Alright, back to our batteries. So why does this even matter? Well, first off, let's talk about the environmental side. We all know batteries aren't exactly the friendliest thing to just toss in the trash. There's all this lithium, cobalt, nickel stuff that's not only expensive to mine, but also kinda rough on the planet if it ends up in a landfill. By giving these batteries a second shot, we're not just saving money, we're also cutting down on waste and pollution. It's like recycling, but with a major upgrade. Now let's get into how this works. Imagine you've got a bunch of these used EV batteries. They're not good enough for cars anymore, but they were still totally fine for stuff that doesn't need as much power, like storing solar energy for your house or backing up electricity for a business. Companies are collecting these batteries, testing them to see how much life is left, and then hooking them up with some new tech so they can work as big rechargeable batteries for buildings. It is kind of like when you take your old laptop and turn it into a media server or something. Same parts, new purpose. And the cool thing is, these second life batteries are way cheaper than brand new ones. We're talking like half the price or even less. So if you're a homeowner with solar panels, or you run a small business and want to save some cash on your energy bills, this is a pretty sweet deal. You get reliable backup power, you're helping the environment, and you're not paying through the nose for it. Let's put this into perspective. Imagine you're running a little coffee shop. You've got a couple of fridges, some lights, maybe a few laptops charging. If the power goes out, you're basically out of business for the day. But with a second life battery system, you can keep things running until the grid comes back online. Or, if you're into solar, you can store all that sunshine during the day and use it at night, so you're not paying peak prices for electricity. It's like having your own little power plant, right in the back room. And this isn't just for small businesses or homes. Big companies are getting in on it too. Think about those massive warehouses or even sports arenas. They use a ton of power, and having a backup system that's both affordable and sustainable is a game changer. Plus, with all the crazy weather we've been having, storms, heat waves, you name it, having a reliable backup isn't just nice, it's kind of essential. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Okay, sounds great, but is this really making a difference? Actually, yeah. There was this study out of Lancaster University that found every megawatt hour of second life battery storage installed saves about 450 tons of CO2, compared to using brand new batteries. That's like taking dozens of cars off the road for a year, just by reusing something we already have. And in places like Phoenix, they've already started using these batteries to store solar energy for city parks. Not only does it cut down on emissions, but it also saves the city a bunch of money on new equipment. Here's another angle. The whole supply chain thing. Mining for new battery materials isn't just expensive, it's also a huge headache geopolitically. By reusing what we've already got, we're less dependent on mining and shipping all these rare materials from halfway around the world. Plus, with more EVs hitting the roads every year, We're going to have a lot of these batteries coming up for retirement soon. Some estimates say by 2030, we'll have enough retired EV batteries to power entire cities if we repurpose them right. But of course, it's not all smooth sailing. There are some hurdles. For one, not all batteries are created equal. Some are easier to repurpose than others, depending on how they were built. And figuring out exactly how much life is left in each battery can be tricky. It's kind of like buying a used car. You want to know the history, how it was treated, if it's had any major issues. Some companies are working on tech to test these batteries quickly and accurately, but it's still a work in progress. There's also the whole trust factor. If you're buying a second life battery system, you want to know it's safe and reliable. That means having some kind of certification or quality control, so you're not just rolling the dice. Some states, like California, are already working on rules to make sure these batteries are handled safely and that buyers know what they're getting. It's still early days, but the momentum is definitely building. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Some companies are starting to rent out these battery systems instead of selling them. So if you're running a festival, or you need backup power for a construction site, you can just rent a battery setup for a week or a month, then send it back when you're done. It's kind of like the Airbnb of energy storage. You get what you need, when you need it, without having to buy the whole thing outright. Let's talk about the future for a second. With more and more EVs on the road, the supply of retired batteries is only going to grow. And as the tech for testing and repurposing gets better, the costs are going to keep dropping. Some experts are saying that by 2031, the market for second-life batteries could be worth almost $30 billion. That's not pocket change, and it means more jobs, more innovation, and more ways for regular people to get involved in the clean energy revolution. Plus, think about the bigger picture. Every time we reuse a battery, we were not just saving money or cutting down on waste, we were also making renewable energy more practical for everyone. Solar and wind are awesome, but they don't always line up with when we actually need power. Batteries are the missing link, and second-life batteries make it way more affordable to store all that clean energy for when we need it most. It's kind of like the ultimate recycling story. We're retaking something that used to be a problem, old car batteries, and turning it into a solution for one of the biggest challenges we face: how to power our lives without wrecking the planet. And honestly, that's pretty inspiring. So next time you see an electric car cruising down the street, think about what's going to happen to that battery in a few years. Chances are it's not headed for the scrap heap. It might end up powering someone's home, keeping a business running during a blackout, or helping a city store solar energy for a rainy day. It's a whole new way of thinking about what's possible. And hey, if you're as excited about this stuff as I am, don't forget to subscribe. There's a lot more to talk about: smart homes, clean tech, all the ways we can make our lives better and greener without breaking the bank. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Let's keep this conversation going, and who knows, maybe your next home battery system will have a little piece of someone's old road trip memories inside. How cool is that?